Welcome back to the What Up Doe Morning Show. It's Teron Finley in an emergency form of the radio show, I guess you would say. So I want to welcome to you guys a very special guest on the What Up Doe Morning Show. We both go to Q's. We're both rising seniors. And he has done so much despite being, such a young age. He's a former president of NABJ, our Syracuse chapter, SJI alum. He also has worked for the New York Post and is currently writing for Yahoo Sports Syracuse.com as a beat writer for the women's basketball team. So welcome, my friend and classmate, Dhani Joseph. What's going on, bro?
I'm doing great, man. This is the first time I've done a lot of radio. I've done radio stuff on podcasts. It's the first time I got introduced like that. It's pretty cool is hearing all the stuff that I've done and just, being appreciated for that. I know people tell me all the time, hey, I do good work and all that stuff, but just, hearing it just listed out like that, really cool. So happy to be here, Toronto, few days, few weeks in the making trying to get this done. So happy to be here and, let's get straight to it, man.
Yeah, let's get straight to it. And I had to do it like that, bro, because you have helped me so much in my journey and helped so many others through NABJ and, other Black young journalists. So we had to do it that way. But let's talk about basketball. So Team USA was able to come back and beat Serbia 95-91 to advance to their fifth straight gold medal game. Curry dropped 36 points, second most in Team USA history, behind the guy we were familiar with, Carmelo Anthony in 2012. Then LeBron, like we said, the first player to put up multiple triple doubles, scoring 16, 12, and 10. So, Dhani, I know you texted me and wanted to do this interview today because you thought Team USA could potentially lose. But what were your takeaways in today's game?
Yeah, so I texted you because I'm like, yo, is Team USA about to lose this one? Are they gonna be in the bronze medal game with Germany? Because truthfully, that's how it looked. I mean, I'll be honest, I tuned in around the second half. I was talking with my editor at Yahoo Sports, and he had the game on at the time. He was like, "Oh, Team USA is down big. They're down double digits." And I'm like, "Well, they'll come back. This is routine for this team, despite having the talent that they have. We can go through the names, we can go through the accolades. But when you talk about them being down, they were down earlier in this Olympic run, whether it be the preliminaries, the group play, but they came back. So I wasn't too worried. But as the game went on, third quarter, they were down double digits. They started making comeback, then they went down double digits again. Fourth quarter was when they really made their run. Steph Curry did his thing, Joel Embiid, LeBron, the big names chipped in. But for a stretch there, I really thought that Team USA was going to go down. But I think the biggest takeaway here is that the depth of this team is something that cannot be underestimated. You look at the field in terms of who's been in the Olympics, who's left in the Olympics, really. Now they're going to face France, which we'll get into in a little bit. But just in terms of Steph, Giroux, Devin Booker, just at the guard spot. Tyrese Halliburton doesn't really get to play. Derek White, you have that. Anthony Edwards there. And then you have the forwards, you have LeBron and KD alone. Like, that's an amazing tandem. Then you go to the bigs with AD, Book, Bam, excuse me, and Joel Embiid. I mean, just look at the depth, look at the scoring, look at the defense. All around, this team is great. There's no reason why they shouldn't win the gold. It's just a matter of really putting the pieces together and making sure you capitalize on this game should have been a test. This should have been something that's like, hey, you guys got to wake up. You can't sleepwalk. They talked about this in some of their games. Like, they can't take the talent for granted. I think it was Steph Curry who mentioned that in one of the post-game press conferences a while back. You can't take these games for granted. And I think this test against Serbia, Nikola Jokic and just Bogdan Bogdanovic, all the guys that were doing their great things, three-point shooting especially, got to be like, hey, this is a wake-up call. We got France. They're loaded. They got Gobert, they got Victor, et cetera, et cetera. We have to be on our A game come Saturday afternoon.
Right. And something that you said that really just stood out is like the fact that Team USA has been sleepwalking, and I guess some American players in general, because throughout this season, or I would say the last few seasons, something has started really to emerge, which is the explosion of European players or overseas players in general. So there, everyone's pointing to the dream team and the popularity of Michael Jordan as the one that sparked this change into basketball becoming an international game. So as you mentioned, Serbia has Jokic, then you have Luka Doncic for Slovenia, then you have SGA for Canada, Wemby. etc. for France. So each of these guys, like combined, they have like a championship, they have finals berth, multiple MVPs, scoring leaders, rookie of the year, etc. And they're coming into the league just fundamentally sound, like this Serbia team. They came out very hot, playing at their own pace, European centric style. So I was going to say with the Olympics, do you think that is more of a slow start for Team USA, or do you think the rest of the world has just caught up in general?
Yeah, I think the world is caught up, man. You mentioned it, sort of the dream team and sort of just putting on full display what American style basketball is. And yes, you mentioned Eurocentric style. And you can see that in sort of some teams in the past of the recent eras. San Antonio Spurs, great example, understanding Greg Popovich and sort of the influences that he's taken from the European game, very pass heavy, being unselfish. That's something that Americans sort of have been criticized for over the years, being very selfish in terms of their isolation scoring, which granted, when you have guys like rest in peace Kobe Bryant, when you have guys like Allen Iverson, guys like T-Mac in that generation that could do so much in a one-on-one situation, why not do that? And if you're gonna do it at a high level, especially with someone like Kobe who won championships in that style, I mean, come on now, it's pretty simple. But you mentioned, Giannis representing from Greece, champion. MVP, Defense Player of the Year. You got guys from Serbia with Jokic, Bogdanovic, Micic, all the guys that sort of have NBA experience that are coming from these overseas countries. They're developing overseas. They're not coming for the most part into the American system until it's NBA time. You have some example like Joel Embiid, who went to Montverde, eventually went to Kansas, but for the most part, a lot of these guys are staying overseas, and then when it's time to get drafted, they come to the NBA. But they're already sound. They're arguably more fundamentally sound than a lot of the guys coming up in the AAU system and high school ranks in USA because one, they're starting at the pro level so young. Look at Luka Doncic in Slovenia. He was a pro at 13, 14 years old. So he was in the locker rooms with these pros that are grown men trying to feed their families. You get that type of knowledge, that institutional foundation in these guys. The world is catching up, man. You saw this NBA draft. No matter what people say in terms of the talent, you see that France was heavily represented. You see that countries in Africa were heavily represented. A lot of places outside of the United States are getting draft talent now, draft capital. And before you know it, a lot of the league, maybe even more than half the league, can be international players just because of what we've seen so far here.
Right, I agree with everything you're saying, and this is Dhani Joseph on the Up Doe Morning Show with Teron Finley and Donovan Travis. Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. It went from when Jordan was playing, I think like six international players in the NBA playing for their respective Olympic team to over 60. So like you said, over half, that's very possible. First couple picks coming from France this year. So it literally is an international takeover. So let's talk about an international player that really took the league by storm last year. And let's talk about the gold medal game Saturday versus France. So you have a couple storylines. Like I said, Victor Wembanyama, he's the future. So it's going to be almost the past versus the future in LeBron and Curry. Then you also have Joel Embiid choosing Team USA over France. So, what are your thoughts going into the gold medal game? Because this is essentially a home game for France.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm looking at right off the bat is how the USA comes out and responds because they were just down big against Serbia. This is the gold medal game. This is the home country here. You do not want to let them get the lead. And then you have the crowd against you because you got to imagine a lot of the Parisians that are going to be there in attendance, they're going to be rooting loud. Yes, USA will have their supporters, no doubt. But this is like, it's not just like a home city. This is the home country that you're going to be going up against. So for USA, getting out to a quick start. You can't have a start like they had this past game against Serbia, where they were sort of sluggish. Steph Curry saved them from what honestly could have been even a bigger deficit if Steph Curry didn't have the hot game that he had. So getting out to a hot start, the big man matchup is going to be critical. Rudy Gobert, Victor Wembanyama versus the starting lineup has changed a little bit for Team USA, but I can probably say maybe you'll have Embiid, maybe Bam in there as well, and Anthony Davis. It depends on the matchup in terms of who you want to start. All those guys will certainly get minutes, so it's going to be very interesting to see the defensive coverage from France that they're going to start playing out. Whether it's Rudy Gobert is going to be in the paint while Victor Wembanyama more on the perimeter playing help side. whatever that may be. Conversely, I'll say that for offensively for Team USA, are they going to do what people have been doing to Rudy Gobert for seemingly years now? Target him in the pick and roll. How will France respond to that? We've seen it time and time again how important having a mobile big man is, and with Victor being 7'4", he's played power forward a lot of the time. So can we see him slide to the five? I'm sure we can do that. That happened last game out against, I believe, Germany. Correct me if I'm wrong, but last game out he definitely did start at the five. Rudy Gobert came off the bench and instead of putting Yabusele, former Celtic, there at the four. Excuse me. So look, there's a lot of storylines you mentioned, but I think the big man matchup arguably is going to be one of the biggest points, along with Team USA getting the quick start out the gates.
Right. So, Dhani, you had to throw a Celtic in there. You mentioned Celtic, even though he didn't have the most success when he was with you guys. And you're the only Celtics fan I know that's from New York. So
Hmm.
that's different. So I have two Celtics questions for you, final questions. So one
Okay.
of the biggest storylines is not who's playing in the games, but who's not playing. And I'm talking about Finals MVP Jaylen Brown not even making the team. Then you have Jason Tatum, who has had 0 minutes in multiple games. So, what's your thoughts on this? Because everyone's saying maybe it's going to be Jason Tatum coming for the MVP. This serves as motivation in some sense. But what's your thoughts on Jason Tatum not playing, Jaylen Brown not even making the team? But then you got their third and fourth options and Drew Holiday and Derek White getting a lot of minutes. So what's your thoughts on the Steve Kerr's rotation?
Well, first of all, if I gained any fans by doing this, I sort of lost them as soon as you said I was a Celtics fan. Let's put that out there now. Banner number 18 is all I got to say. Now, in terms of the hierarchy with Team USA, it's weird, right? Obviously, you have Jason Tatum, one of the top 10 best players in the game, arguably from a straight skill set perspective, what, top five in terms of talent on the team right now. So you have that. And then you also have Drew Holiday and Derek White, who are getting starts and getting playing time. Tatum, another DNP coming out of this one. Curious to see if Team USA and Steve Kerr will continue to allow that to happen. Tatum not playing at all, especially in the gold medal game. Now, look, Tatum was a key part of the 2021 Tokyo Olympic run where they played France and they won. Tatum was a key contributor in that. Now, a lot of the guys that are here on this team were not there. Players like LeBron, Steph Curry, et cetera, et cetera. They weren't on that team. So Tatum had more opportunity, more runway to be able to play and play at a high level at that. Now, what Drew Holiday and Derek White bring to the table, they bring two guys that know their roles. They're not going to ask for too many shots. They don't have ego. Not saying that Tatum does have ego. I want to put that out very clearly right now. But he's known as a star, a superstar in this league. So obviously, he's going to want to take shots just like Durant has the ability to take shots and LeBron's the ability to take shots. The only thing with that is that there's only one basketball. So if you can have a guy like LeBron and KD out there at the same time, maybe Embiid, you put Booker out there, then you have one more spot. Do you want to have Booker running the point? He can do that. We saw it last year in Phoenix. But what we really want in Team USA, I think what they're looking for is a guy that can facilitate the offense, that could play high level defense, and that can make the open three without needing a lot of touches. That's Drew Holiday. That's Derek White in a nutshell. That's why there are such important pieces in this year's championship team for Boston, because there was the hierarchy. All right, you have the two scorers, you have the two top guys, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. You have Porzingis as well as a third guy. Right now, we only need you to play defense, facilitate sometimes, make hard nosed, gritty plays. Tatum can do all of that and more, but in terms of the hierarchy of what the team needs, LeBron, KD, Steph, Embiid. You can put Anthony Davis right underneath. There's a lot of people that are getting more time, more touches. Maybe that's just because of their Olympic pedigree already. Maybe that's just because of the fit in terms of the team. I don't know. You have to ask Steve Kerr what he thinks. But as far as I know, I think that the best fit it looks like right now is Derek White and Drew Holiday. Sorry, Tatum.
Got you. Yeah, I got you. And this is Dhani Joseph of Yahoo Sports. So, Dhani, do you think this affects their legacy in some ways? Like, do you think that Jason Tatum, they're going to remember him for not playing in this Olympics? So, when it's all said and done.
That's a good question. I don't think so because history is gonna remember that he was on the team. If they went to gold, I think there will certainly be questions about why didn't he play, not necessarily because he didn't play. What I mean by that is Tatum, he's just coming off championship team, a championship win with the Celtics, just coming off a huge extension, the highest paid player in the NBA. So many things have gone right in this stretch of time for Tatum, but he didn't get to play much at all. So I remember specifically if he did get any type of touches in the past few rounds of the Olympics. So it's going to be very interesting to discuss his legacy going forward. Again, he's only like what 25, 26. Still has championship experience in him. Probably a few more, at least finals runs for sure with the Celtics, considering their core. And he's won a gold medal with the Olympics, right? So he'll always be known as an Olympian, as a gold medalist for sure. And at his age, he probably has at least two more Olympics in him, bare minimum, 30, 34 at those around those ages. He's going to have that at least. And maybe if he wants to do a LeBron, he'll have three. So he's going to get more Olympic experience. I guarantee you the next time the Olympics roll around, when it's in LA come 2028, he will be starting. He will be a central force because there will be no KD. There will be no LeBron. There will be no Steph. He'll be the veteran voice in the locker room for sure. And he'll be able to dictate what goes on. So for next Olympics coming up, I am, you can write it down right now, August 8th, 2024. Tatum will be a key player, a key factor in the next Olympics, without a doubt.
Right. So now I got to get to the Noah Lyles conversation. Do you think last year's or this year's Celtics team, the reigning champions, would have won a gold medal if they were to compete in this tournament?
You know, that's a good question. I've thought about it on my own time, just in terms of who I think would win. The talent obviously says Team USA, right? You have former MVPs, you have champions, et cetera, versus, yes, the starting five of Boston, which is great. Tatum, Brown, White, Porzingis, and Holiday, and the bench guys, Pritchard, et cetera, et cetera. I'm gonna go with Team USA simply because you have the talent disparity. Especially when you get to the bench, like their bench is a whole other starting five for an all-star team, all NBA guys on that bench. So you just want to talk about strictly the facts of who's on the roster, like those minutes that the starters aren't in for Boston. How are Peyton Pritchard, how is Luke Cornett going to deal with Anthony Edwards off the bench, or Devin Booker off the bench, and Embiid? You see what I'm saying? Just like realistically speaking, like yes, I do root for the Celtics, but I'm also a logical basketball fan. Let's get that out the way. So I understand where the battle is lost here, and it's really the bench depth. You talk about chemistry all you want, but I think that bench depth truly matters in these situations, and that's sort of been USA's biggest strength throughout the Olympics, and they're going to have to use that against France come Saturday.
Right, I agree. Peyton Pritchard does have experience with the select team, but it's such a downgrade. And then how would Joe Mazzulla look? Even though he did improve a lot this year versus Steve Kerr as far as just matchup wise. But this is Sports Rap Radio, and we like to end our interviews talking about music. So, Dhani, what's on the playlist? I know you got a lot of old school music, bro. Like, tell me what you've been listening to lately.
Man, I'm a jack of all trades when it comes to music. I listen to a lot of different stuff. Gospel. I'm a big gospel guy right now, or in general. So gospel, I'll probably listen to Marvin Sapp. Never would have made it. Uh,
Man,
that's probably the number one song that I always go to. Good Times or Bad Times is a great song. Rap, I'm a big Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is my favorite rapper of all time. I think he's one of the greatest. So anything Lil Wayne, the Carter Four in particular, it's a great album. That's really what I've been listening to, is either gospel or some rap, some R&B here and there. I'll shout out my favorite R&B song, Mr. Telephone Man by New Edition. Old classic, 70s, 80s, but those are probably the top things I listen to consistently.
bro, you and Johnny are so like he's a big gospel guy, and I'm a big
My
Marvin
guy.
guy. Yeah, I'm a what's he saw the best in me. That's my favorite.
Marvin Sapp. Yep, yep, yep. For
But
sure.
yeah, that's you got a lot of good choices, Lil Wayne, all that. But this was Dhani Joseph of Yahoo Sports talking about the Olympics and the game, a preview to the game against France on Saturday. thanks for, being on the show, bro. I appreciate it. First guy that's from Syracuse that was on the show. So we
Yeah,
got
man.
some orange in there.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully not the last time. Definitely happy to hop on, talk more hoops or anything for the foreseeable future. This is fun, man.
Yeah, thanks again. But this is the What Up Doe Morning Show interview with Dhani Joseph.